Hello, this is a review of the Seagate Expansion 2TB USB 3 external hard disk drive. Now, I was really happy with the drive. There's only one caveat that I'll mention that it had to do with a slight defect when it arrived, but otherwise probably shouldn't happen to you, and I was still able to get it to work, which I'll show you in a minute. So basically, you get the box, and it's really simple. You open the box, this is what you get inside the box here. You get, of course, you have to get an AC adapter, that's simple enough. You get a USB 3 cable, so here's your blue USB 3 cable, which connects to any blue USB port. So blue means USB 3, by the way. If you don't have a blue port, it'll still be backward compatible with USB 2. Then you get one of these ends. So this is a different cable. It's not, you cannot use a USB 2 cable with this, but they give it to you. Here's the other end of it. This would, of course, match the back of the drive here, which you see the connectors right there for your USB 3 and the power. Of course, you have the drive itself, which is a pretty plain looking drive. It's just a brick, basically, an enclosure to hold the drive. It does get a little bit warm when it's running. It definitely gets warm to the touch. It's not fire hot or anything like that. It comes with ventilation holes that you'll see there. And of course, instructions. Honestly, this thing is so simple you don't need instructions. You basically just plug these in to the back end, plug this into your computer, plug it into power, and it should be immediately recognized and work. It was that easy for me. However, they do give you quick instructions if you need some help. Basically, remember what's in the box, plug it in, plug it in, plug it in. It's as simple as it took. You really don't need to know anything else about that. Performance-wise, I was very happy with the performance. I'll show you in a moment in a realistic example, copying a video. But basically, it worked out to be about 3 times as fast than my USB 2 external hard drive from Western Digital that I had on my Passport. So I was very happy, and that is really what you're looking for when you're going USB 3. The point is it is faster than USB 2. I thought it'd be twice as fast, turned out to be practically 3 times as fast. So what you want is it to work. Well, it works. It's something you can just plug in and start using for storage. I was impressed with the speed of this drive. So basically what I did for some ad hoc testing, I took a 608 megabyte file from one of my video reviews, and then I compared it to the other drives on my computer. So I basically have 2 internal drives, one in SSD and one in HDD, and then I have a external My Passport USB 2 drive from Western Digital. That's a 500 gigabyte, and then this one, the USB 3 2 terabyte Seagate drive that we're reviewing now. And basically, in a realistic use, when I'm going to be copying video files back and forth, I could take them and drop them between the drives and see the performances differences. And I basically am timing until realistically till it's ready so that I can move on. Now, to be fair, there could be internal caching and other things going on behind there, but in a realistic use, basically we're looking for that window to go away. So for the USB 2 drive, that was my Western Digital My Passport drive, it took about, on average, 29 seconds in ad hoc timing for that to go away. And then we're going to compare that to the performance on this Seagate external drive. So there, we finished it there, so let's do the exact same test. Take this file, drag it on into my Seagate drive that I have down here, drop it, and this is much faster. So this is on USB 3 with this 2 terabyte Seagate drive, and for me it took on average about 8 seconds in my testing so far. So we're watching for this. It's copying again there, and we're done. So that was on this USB 3 drive that we're testing today. And just for a comparison to an internal hard drive, I'm going to drag it from my HDD to my solid state drive down here. Boom. Right, so at least between SATA 3 6 gigabit per second on my internal drives, going from my D drive to my C drive, it was nearly instantaneous. I mean, it was not even a pop-up. So we noticed that it was significantly slower on my USB 2 drive from Western Digital to My Passport, which I'm happy with as for what its purposes was, but I'm thrilled with the speed being 3 times faster in my testing for this file transfer that we had here. And of course, it's still not going to compare to the literal internal hard drive that I have there, transferring from SATA 3 to SATA 3 6 gigabit per second within the computer. So, but overall, I'm really happy with the drive. It performs a lot faster in my practical usage. Now, the one thing that was concerning to me at first is I thought it had arrived broken. And I was rather shocked at the quality control from that aspect of it. And it had to do with how the drive sat inside the box. See these ports on the back? Right now I can get at them, right? You notice how the USB port is pretty well centered, and the same for the AC port. Well, when this arrived, you couldn't get at these ports. They actually were stuck up inside here a little bit, or I could just about get to that. So, how did it work for me is there was no way on earth I could plug this thing in, because it was trying to plug in, up here where obviously there's plastic in the way. And if you look below, you see this metal thing at the bottom down here, the little metal line, that was up about a third of the way up higher in this hole here. So how did I get it to work, by the way, if that happens to you? So take this end, which doesn't seem, I wasn't worried about bending this as much, and I basically went like this, got it in there, and then pulled it down, and it felt like it was spring-loaded in there, popped it in, and once I did that, this USB port came more into focus. And after I was able then, and I had to take this end, I was able to pop it in just fine. So you go ahead and pop that in, and I was able to use it like a lever and pop it down, and it was able to then work for me just fine. So I did get it to work, but I had to push it down, and once I got them in, I gave a good force, and you see how it's a little bit springy? Pushing it down, both of them move a little bit, so there seems to be some spring-mounted tension on the bottom of this drive here, and that was able to push them up. So it's luckily though it stays just fine, but honestly that's a manufacturing defect perhaps, and if you get one like this, you're welcome to send it back for replacement, but honestly it worked just fine after I just pried them down a little bit. Well, there you have it. I think it is an excellent drive. It gets a little bit warm to the touch. Check for your ports on the back, but I don't think you should really have that problem. And it's fast as can be. It's not as fast as an internal hard disk drive or solid state drive within the computer, but as an external drive, it's 3 times as fast as my USB 2. So when I'm thinking of computer backups and archiving files, 8 seconds to move a 600 meg file I think was excellent. So I was really happy with it. So thanks for watching the review.